Version 1. The Western Mortician. Survivor Series 1990. Ted DiBiase walks down the aisle with a mystery partner, 6'10", draped in a black trench coat, grey gloves, tie, and a wide-brimmed hat that looks straight out of a Western funeral home. This wasn't just a new wrestler debuting, it was a new archetype. Back then, WWE was built around loud, colourful gimmicks, cartoonish characters that could sell lunchboxes. But The Undertaker was quiet, stoic, menacing. He didn't need bright gear or catchphrases. He had presence. He was initially managed by Brother Love, but that didn't last long. Soon, Paul Bearer took over, pale, trembling, and clutching the urn that was said to control the Deadman. Together, they made the perfect horror duo. His early feuds: Jake the Snake Roberts in a battle of mind games, Kamala in a body bag match, Yokozuna in the first ever televised casket match, and perhaps most impressively, Hulk Hogan. Just a year after his debut, Undertaker beat Hogan for the WWF title at Survivor Series 1991. The reign lasted only 6 days, but the message was clear. This character wasn't a flash in the pan. He was the future. Version 2. The Deadman evolves. After being locked inside a casket by half the roster at Royal Rumble 94, Undertaker disappeared. For months, he was off TV. Then, at SummerSlam, he returned. The look was similar, but the colors changed. Now it was purple gloves and boots, and the lighting leaned more into eerie purples and blues. He wasn't just an undead mortician anymore, he was practically supernatural. His resurrection promos were next level. During this run, Undertaker feuded with Karma, who melted the urn down into a gold chain, King Kong Bundy and Mabel, in slower, brawling-style matches, IRS, in a feud that somehow involved repossessing gravestones. Late 1995, the Deadman took on a new look. Not by choice, by necessity. Version 3. The Phantom Undertaker. During a match in late 95, Undertaker took a shot to the face from Mabel, a real one. The result? A shattered orbital bone. Most guys would take months off, but Taker came back almost immediately with a leather face mask. The Phantom of the WWE. His promos were darker, more guttural. His matches were stiff. The mask made him look even more monstrous, less like a man and more like a demon barely held together. He wore the mask during matches with Mabel, Goldust, and others in the mid-card. And when he finally took it off in early 1996, the legend only grew. Version 4. Lord of Darkness. The gloves came off, literally. The purple was gone. The hat disappeared. In its place, black leather, a teardrop tattoo, and eyes that looked like they'd seen hell and walked back. This was the Lord of Darkness version. More violent, more psychological, and way more dangerous. He shifted away from the hokey storylines and into brutal, creative matches. Boiler Room Brawl, Buried Alive, Hell in a Cell. His feud with Mankind defined this period. They weren't just matches. They were experiments in pain. The Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels in '97, where Kane debuted and ripped the cell door off. That's iconic Attitude Era storytelling. Speaking of Kane, that's the other major chapter here. Paul Bearer revealed that Undertaker had a brother, presumed dead, who had survived the family fire. Enter Kane. Red suit, pyro, rage, and a years-long feud that bounced between blood feud and reluctant alliance. Undertaker's promos evolved too. He wasn't just talking about rest in peace anymore, he was talking about souls, damnation, the end of days. He spoke in parables. His voice was lower, slower, more preacher than wrestler. If 1990 Undertaker looked like he'd dig your grave, 1997 Undertaker looked like he'd deliver your eulogy. Version 5. Ministry of Darkness. This was Undertaker with no leash. If Lord of Darkness was gothic horror, this version was full-on satanic cult leader. He wore long hooded robes, grew his goatee longer, and started performing rituals on live television. He sacrificed wrestlers, hung Steve Austin on a massive Undertaker symbol, tried to forcibly marry Stephanie McMahon, and formed the Ministry of Darkness, a faction of loyalists who treated him like a dark messiah. Then he merged with Vince McMahon's corporation to form the corporate ministry, and somehow became even more unhinged. This version wasn't chasing titles, it was chasing power. He wanted control of the WWF. But by the summer of '99, Undertaker disappeared again. Version 6, American Badass. Judgment Day 2000. During a legendary Iron Man match between The Rock and Triple H, a creepy package begins to play on the Titantron as fans look on in anticipation. And out rides The Undertaker, on a Harley. This was the American Badass, the most radical transformation of his career. He talked like a real person, fought like a brawler. He feuded with The Rock, Kurt Angle, Rikishi, and Triple H. He didn't hold many singles titles here, but he did rack up tag team gold with Kane and The Rock. And then, in 2001, things started shifting. The character turned heel, and the American Badass became something even meaner. Version 7, Big Evil. By the time 2002 rolled around, Undertaker was fully in biker mode. This was Big Evil, a short-haired, no-nonsense veteran with a chip on his shoulder. The look, MMA gloves, chain accessories. The bandana stayed, but the vibe changed. He wasn't here to play mind games. He was here to beat the hell out of you and remind you to respect his legacy. His most famous line during this era? "I'm gonna make you famous." It wasn't a catchphrase. It was a threat. And the feuds backed it up. Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18 in a vicious brawl. Jeff Hardy in a ladder match that made Hardy a star even in defeat. Brock Lesnar in a hellish feud that included a Hell in a Cell match where Undertaker bled like never before. He even won the Undisputed Championship by beating Hulk Hogan again in 2002. This version ends at Survivor Series 2003, where he was buried alive by Kane. Again. But this time, what rose up out of the grave wouldn't need a bike. Version 8, Return of the Deadman. WrestleMania 20, Madison Square Garden. The lights go out, the bell tolls, the fog returns. And just like that, the Deadman was back. But this wasn't a full rewind. It was a hybrid. He kept the hat and coat, but under it, the gloves stayed. The striking-based moveset stayed. The character now blended myth and muscle. He was no longer a zombie. He was a final boss. Feuds during this run: Kane at Mania 20, Randy Orton in a father-son feud that elevated Orton's status, JBL for the WWE title, Mark Henry in a casket match at WrestleMania 22, and then Batista, probably the best rivalry of this stretch. WrestleMania 23. Undertaker wins the Royal Rumble and goes on to face Batista in a match that over-delivered. It was fast, violent, and completely wrecked the myth that Undertaker could only work slow, plodding matches. He wins the World Heavyweight Championship, a full-circle moment for a guy who debuted when that belt didn't even exist. This version was the start of something deeper. The audience began treating The Undertaker not just as a character, but as a living legend. And with each passing year, that legend would only grow louder. Version 9, the Streak Era. By 2008, Undertaker wasn't working weekly anymore. He didn't need to. His career had entered a new phase. He wasn't chasing titles. He was defending a legacy. The streak, his undefeated WrestleMania record, became the centerpiece. WrestleMania 25 versus Shawn Michaels, widely considered the greatest WWE match of all time. WrestleMania 26, the rematch, with Michaels' career on the line. WrestleMania 27 and 28, two back-to-back wars with Triple H culminating in the end of an era, Hell in a Cell. WrestleMania 29, a clinic with CM Punk fueled by the real-life death of Paul Bearer. And then WrestleMania 30. Enter Brock Lesnar. The match wasn't great. Taker suffered a concussion early and barely remembered it afterward. But the ending, that silence, that moment when the ref's hand hit the mat for 3, and the crowd just sat in stunned disbelief. The streak was over. 21-1. Just like that. Version 10, the final chapters. The aura was still there. But the body? It was starting to break down. His look shifted again, a mix of old and new. Feuds during this run included Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. Spiritual successor meets original. Shane McMahon in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 32. Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33, where he seemingly retired. John Cena at WrestleMania 34, a quick squash that felt more like fan service than feud. And finally, AJ Styles in a cinematic boneyard match at WrestleMania 36. That last one? It was perfect. A mix of action, storytelling, editing, and callbacks. He rode in on a motorcycle, spoke like a man, fought like a legend, and ended the match standing tall as Metallica played him off. After 30 years, it was over. He officially retired at Survivor Series 2020, same event where he debuted. Full circle. No one interrupted, no one attacked. Just Undertaker, alone in the ring. These kinds of videos go up all the time here, so hit subscribe if you want more.